Alright guys, how you doing? It's Rabea. I hope you're all good. So I bring you another video in association with Walrus Audio. I've been working with those guys and using their gear for quite a few years now, and I really rate them. So if you've not heard of them, go check them out. I'll link them in the description box. But in this video, we're going to be looking at one of the new Mako series pedals. So the Mako series are, I suppose, a more in-depth, more heavy on the digital side of things in Walrus's lineup in terms of the functionality. They're MIDI, so they've got tons of MIDI programmability, and they have extra features. And I did the R1 recently, which is their reverb, and it's a multi-reverb pedal, and it's super high fidelity and really cool. But this is the ACS1, which is an amp and cab simulator. First things first, this is a sponsored video. Walrus Audio have paid me to check this pedal out, and the purpose of this video is for me to take you through this pedal, show you what it sounds like, do a bunch of playing. Any opinions I have on it are my own, and I'll save them until the end of the video, but just need to let you guys know. Apologies for the sort of different setup at the minute. As you may have seen in a recent video, I've actually injured my leg, so it has to remain straight in a knee brace, so I've just moved everything from over there to over here, and we're going to do things a little bit differently. So the ACS1, as I said, is an amp and cab simulator. It's exactly the same size as the Mako R1, so it's a small form factor pedal. The general idea, I think, here is that you put it on your pedal. If you're a pedal board player and you get most of your tones from that, or you do a lot of traveling around or recording, you just need a small setup. I think that's what they're aiming it for, because the idea here is that you've got 3 different amps, then you've got 6 different cabs you can select, and the way it kind of works is you've got bass, middle and treble along the top, you've got your volume, your gain, and then you've got a room control, which basically adds a nice amount of room ambience to the sound, which is really nice to play. If you just sat with headphones in, you can just play along and it sounds like you're in the room with it. As I said, there are 3 different amps, and then you've got 6 different cabs switchable with this ABC switch, and then if you hold down the bypass, you can then access the other 3 cabs as well. The feature I think that sets this apart, I'd say, is the L and R feature in the middle. So the cool thing here is that obviously you choose your amp and your cab, the sound that you want, and then you can either have that affect both the left and the right signal path if you hook this up in stereo like I have here, or you can affect one side only, so you can switch out the cab if you want, or you could change the amp, so you've got one amp and one cab on one side and a different amp and a different cab on the other side, so you get a nice wide stereo image, which is, it's pretty neat really. On top of that, you've got a headphone out on the side, so you can literally just have this pedal, plug into it, use your headphone out, and that's it. You just jam away with a little amp and cab situation with the room control. Then you've got the USB on the side, so that's how you can update it. And one thing I would say is the updating side of this thing is really, really easy to do. I got it in the post. I thought I'll just check the updates, plug it in with micro USB, make sure you use Google Chrome, and you go to the website, and it literally just does it. They've got like online MIDI drivers that sort of update it super fast. You should see like a little screen grab somewhere on how it works. And I'll also put up a screen grab of all the different cabs that you can use as well. In terms of functionality, treat this like an amp. So you've got your 3-band, your volume and your gain. Room is kind of separate, it's more for a feel thing. And like I said, you can change up what you want on either side. But then on top of that, you've got a boost switch here, which essentially what you do is you dial in the level and the gain boost that you want, and then you would hold it down, and it would sort of remember that setting, so remember how much you want to increase that gain and volume by. There are 3 presets that are loaded in, which you can access by pressing both the foot switches, so you've got blue, red and green, and then if you start changing anything, the LED turns purple to say that you've started adjusting the preset. In terms of the styles of the amps that are in the pedal, you've got 3 different ones. You've got Fullerton, which essentially references like a Fender Twin. Then you've got London, which is your Marshall kind of blues breaker vibe. And then you've got the Dartford, which is a Vox AC30 kind of vibe. And all those cabs respectively match those amplifiers. So the way we're going to do this video is I've got my guitar, I might try a Telly as well as a Strat or something, but as you may have noticed, I've got the Revival Drive Compact set up because the idea being here is that it's a pedal platform amp simulator, so really I want to try it with a pedal. So I figured I'd use my Revival Drive because I love it, and also it kind of works with the style of amps that are in this pedal. I think that about wraps it up for the feature set of this pedal. As I said, there are 3 presets you can get on the front, or up to I think 128 using MIDI, but that's it. Let's crack on and see what it sounds like. So I've got my Strat, I figured that's a good place to start, and we'll go with the red preset. I couldn't find anything about what amp and cab combination each preset is, sadly, but yeah, let's give it a go. So we'll start with the red preset. First things first, that's a really clean sound. So this is a preset. So the first thing we'll demonstrate is the room. There you go, stereo room vibes. So yeah, the room works, and it does. It sort of beds things in a bit, sounds a little more ambient. I like that. Let's try mess around. Well, next thing I'll do is throw the boost on so you can hear the pre-programmed boost. So here you go. Ooh, yeah, that's quite a jump. So nice amount of compression in that as well. I'm gonna say this feels like a Fender amp, but I could be wrong. Anyway, so let's take the boost back off. So let's just double check. Now one thing to note out here is that when the LR switch is in the middle, whatever I do with the amp or the cab is going to affect both sides. It's only when you switch it to either left or right that you'll be affecting one of the sides. So let's just see what happens if I switch to Fullerton now. Does it change? No, so that it was a Fender. So I like that. Okay, so let's mess with it a bit. Let's see what we can do. Let's turn the gain up. So it's nice. Feels good. Okay, let's try. So also, let's just double check the cab. So this preset is basically Fullerton amp and cab. So let's move to London and let's change the speaker to B as well. See what happens. Way more boxy and MIDI, which makes me feel like, yeah, it's more Marshall blues breakery, but I would say try a different cab. Let's go back to the first cab. See, I prefer that, more bottom end. Yeah, I like the Marshall sound with the sort of Fendery bassy cab. So, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna throw on some Capital Chambers reverb. Here we go. One thing I'm feeling is there's like a compression to it that's not over the top, but makes things nice to play. Or at least it feels that way. Anyway, so we had it on the Fender cab with the Marshall sound. What happens if I throw on the boost now? So a Marshall Blues Breaker isn't like the gainiest of amps, but let's just gun the gain. You can hear it compressing. Sounds good though. Anyway. It's interesting when you're messing around with the different cabs, you get used to the way it sounds, and then you sort of like it more. So we can mess with the EQ now, treble. All right, so we'll take the boost off, and now just gonna reset the preset. And now we'll move to Dartford with the Dartford cab. Have a listen to that. Yeah, you can hear the Voxy chime going on. But again, I feel like with the boost on, personally, I feel like with the boost on, it's giving me this sort of level and volume that I want, because I'm finding I'm having to turn it up a little bit. But maybe that's because it's supposed to be for pedals as well, like a pedal platform. We'll find out when we use the revival drive, but let's throw on the reverb again. I don't know why, but I hate going. So I don't know why I did that, but I did. Anyway, yeah. Once again, with the boost on, I'm preferring the feel and the sound. Again, we're not using any pedals, so I think I prefer having a little bit more hair on the tone for me personally. But yeah, again, the feel is nice and there's a chime there. And I think what they've done nicely is recreate the feel and sound of each respective amp in a good way. So next up, what I want to try is the different cabs. Okay, so I figured it was a good opportunity to switch guitars as well. So I've got the Telly now. Well, the double Esquire special, but it's a Telly. Okay, so we're on the Fullerton amp and cab. Now, what I'm going to do is just dial in a bit of room. I'm going to set everything at like 12, just because. Actually, I'm going to boost the gain. And what I'm going to do next is change over to they have front and back cabs, they call it. So the front three are the ones that when you turn the pedal on, you can switch between them. And then when you hold the bypass and switch between the cabs, then you're using the back three. So now this is the super reverb style cab. So if I hold the bypass and then switch to A, now, oh yeah, you can hear there's more mid presence already. Wow. It's like MIDI and bassy. So next, if I hold bypass again and move to the middle, it's going to be a 2-rock style cab. It's nice, there's a nice chime there. All right, so then cab C. So this is an Alnico Blue. One of my personal favorites for like a Voxy sound. It's a little less harsh than the greenback version, which is on the front set of cabs. So now if we team that up, obviously we've just been using the Fullerton amp, but if I go over now to the Vox, oh, loads more top end. Right, so now if I go back to the middle cab, the 2-rock with the with the London. Oh yeah, I like that. Gain on full. I like this one, definitely a barky British vibe with the gain on full. Let's take the room down a bit. See, now for me, that's where I'd stack a pedal on top. And that would give me a nice amount of sustain, like for more of a leady, hard rock thing. I mean, it's very clean for what I do, but I like it. Yeah, feels really nice. But this guitar isn't staying in tune today, so I'm going to switch back. Okay, so for the next segment of the video, real quick, let me show you what happens when we start messing around with like a stereo amp vibe. So I really like the Fullerton. And what I want to do is select that on the left, so I'm going to add a bit of gain here, and I'm going to just double check that it's going to be on Fullerton cab. So yeah, now I want more gain. So everything that I'm affecting now is only happening on the left. Okay, and then on the right, I'm going to change it to the London with the Marshall, and then I'm going to change that to the Two Rock cab. So you can hear now it sounds completely different on the other side. And again, I can mess with this, so I'm going to turn up the gain. Sounds like I've got more volume coming from the right. Sounds really good. And then if I want to boost the overall gain, so there you go. Now I've got a stereo amp rig, so I've got two different amps and cabs on either side. And it's creating a really nice, wider amp tone. Now with a bit of reverb as well. Oh, it's really nice. So that's what you can do if you start messing around with the L&R switch and make a wider stereo image with different amplifiers and stuff. And now for the bit that I'm really excited about, and that's hearing how this thing fares as a pedal platform. So I'm just going to go back over to the left, and I'm going to boost that. Right, next what I'm going to do is throw on the revival drive. Here we go. So instantly I'm hearing that it's accepted the pedal quite well. So this is without it. And I throw it on. It sounds really nice to me. And that's with the blend at kind of, sorry, the blend's on full. I could back that off. Maybe do a bit of this. Yeah, I'm into that. So that was with my sort of stereo preset that I just made. So let's go back to the Fullerton, the way we've got it now, and turn it back on. So there's a few things that we can do at this point to open it up a bit. So let's try that out. So this is the Marshall. You can hear like how much that cab is sort of mid-heavy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try a different cab. Let's try the Alnico Blue. Or alternatively the Fullerton. So I prefer that. But why stop there, okay? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to throw it over to, I want the Marshall on the right, and I want that with the 2-rock cab, and then I want on the left, I want another Marshall. No, actually, I want a Vox, but I want it with the Fender cab. So then on the left, I'm still on the Dartford, so let's back off some treb. Let's back off a bit of gain. So now we've found a combination we like. We can dial in the gain where we want it with a bit of verb. I'm just mindlessly noodling, which is usually a good sign that I'm enjoying the way it sounds and feels. Well, that would probably be where I would wrap this video up, because it's probably been quite a long one. There's a lot to get through. But yes, that is the ACS1 from Walrus Audio. The main thing that I want to say here is that I love the idea of a pedal-sized, and I haven't tried the Iridium from Strymon because everyone's comparing these two, and I can understand why, but I haven't tried the Iridium, and you know, this is my first outing with something like this. I really like the concept. I think if you're a pedalboard user, small pedalboard, or you just need something small to travel around with, this is great. Handles pedals really good. The revival drive into it, for me, sounded, and it allowed it to feel like the revival drive as well in front of those amps. I think they captured the essence of each of those amps really nicely. My favourite are the Fullerton. My favourite is the Fullerton and the London, mainly because they're more my cup of tea in terms of sound. But if I need to get a bit high end, then I could throw the Dartford on one side. And that brings me on to the next thing I like about it, is the L&R switch. Being able to bring out stereo amp rigs, you know, so like one amp and cab on one side and one on the other, that is really cool. And it got wider, it felt like a dual amp sound. All in a pedal like that, I'm thumbs up for it. And again, throw it on there with some reverb, delay, favourite drive pedal, fuzz, whatever. I'm assuming it will handle it really nicely, as it did the revival drive. So yeah, it's easy to use, the 3-band EQ, volume and gain, not much going on there, but the room is nice having that there. It does bed things in a little bit. My one criticism is that it's very quiet. I've had to gain this up a lot in you know, to hear it at the same level as some of my other devices. I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily, because if you're using boosts and things like that, I can understand that the headroom would get you know, you need a bit more of that there. But just to plug in and play through my rig as I would any other piece of gear, I did find it quite quiet. That being said, that's about the only thing I could find about this pedal that I would change. Maybe I'd just bring the overall global level of it up. But yeah, in terms of updating, plugging it into your computer, all that's super simple. And again, the control layout is intuitive. Like most of the Walrus audio gear, I'm impressed. So I'll link it in the description box below so you can check it out. But for those of you who need a small form factor pedal platform to fit on your pedal board, or something to take and throw in your bag and plug in if you just need to jam somewhere, or in the studio if you need another option, or, you know, that's where I would sit this. I would say it's a really nice, handy tool with great tones in it. So yeah, hopefully this was helpful to you guys and you enjoyed the way it sounded. But of course, let me know what you think in the comment section below. In any case, thank you to Walrus Audio for sending this over. Thanks for watching this video. Like, subscribe and share. I've been Rabea, and I will see you all very soon.